The TrimUI Smart Pro is one of my favourite new retro gaming handhelds. I'm a little bit late to the party, but I'm so glad that I came because the TrimUI Smart Pro is an absolutely fantastic device. Now from the outset, the TrimUI Smart Pro stands out from other retro gaming handheld consoles because it really looks like a quality piece of equipment. Not that other retro gaming handhelds don't, but there's something about this that elevates it to a slightly higher level. It makes it feel much more like the type of device you'd get from Google or Apple, and makes it feel like it's got a bit more of an attention to detail, as well as high street market quality. For me, the most noticeable thing when I first got the TrimUI Smart Pro in my hands was how it immediately reminded me of the PlayStation Vita. The style and shape of the TrimUI really speaks to the Vita, but most importantly and most noticeably, the analog sticks are just like the analog sticks we did get on the PS Vita. They're quite different to a lot of the analog sticks that we do see on retro gaming handhelds these days. Most of those consoles use analog sticks that are like the Nintendo Switch, which are great, really good analog sticks. But the TrimUI Smart Pro uses the more portable shaped, smaller analog sticks that we got on the PS Vita, with the plastic edges and the rubber middles. Now which one you prefer is up to user preference, but for me, the nostalgia kicked in straight away and immediately made me feel like I had a PS Vita in my hands. Anyone that knows me or watches the channel knows that I love the PS Vita, so this was an instant win for me. Now I have seen on some other reviews of the TrimUI mention of how the analog sticks are a little bit restricted in their movement in the little gaps that they have on the console. Now whereas that might be factually correct, in reality when using the console I never noticed this as an issue, and the analog sticks feel 100% usable and comfortable for me, just like they did back on the Vita. Now rounding off the physical features of the TrimUI Smart Pro, and you can see that attention to detail throughout the console. TrimUI's logo, which reminds me of the Predator laser triple dots, can be seen throughout the console. On the back of the device, the menu button, the lights that show you if it's charging, and even on the D-pad itself. This attention to detail really brings a brand quality to the console and makes you notice TrimUI as the brand. But beyond aesthetics, the TrimUI also continues the quality in terms of feel and design of the device. As we said, this reminds me a lot of the PS Vita, not just from the analog sticks, but the entire shape and style of the console. From the curved design, from the location of the analog sticks, the D-pad, the buttons, even on that back, the curved to flat transition where the trackpad was on the D-pad, it feels like it's the same kind of shape and design as the PS Vita. Thankfully, the TrimUI doesn't have a trackpad on the back, which is an improvement over the Vita, and it also has R2 and L2 buttons, which is another improvement over the Vita. And thanks to those design features, the TrimUI is as pocketable as the PS Vita was, and as a matter of fact is even more pocketable, to be honest, because the analog sticks are slightly recessed, which makes for a much smoother, flatter console. The TrimUI Smart Pro slides in and sits perfectly in any of your pockets, making it one of the easiest consoles I've used to take around with me. Something I'm becoming increasingly aware of, because when you are using retro gaming handhelds which have analog sticks which aren't quite as set and deep, become quite awkward to carry around in your pocket, as the analog sticks are always kind of getting in the way. So these recessed analog sticks are really good for pocketability. But the shining quality is the screen. A 4.96-inch IPS screen with a resolution of 1280 by 720, which puts the TrimUI Smart Pro somewhere in between the RG503 and the RG505. There is potentially a slight improvement that could be made with the speakers. The speakers, from what I've seen from other videos, seem to be facing backwards out of the console, when it would be better if they were facing forwards, and the sound could be a little bit better. Now we have compared the TrimUI Smart Pro to the PS Vita, but the comparisons are going to stop there because the similarities to the PS Vita extend only to the physical look and design of the console. The TrimUI Smart Pro comes packed with an A113 Plus quad-core processor and a PowerVR GE8300 GPU, along with 1 GB of RAM, and it uses its own operating system, an operating system that I really like, and is noticeably different, but in good ways, to all the normal operating systems we see that come from Linux handhelds. In terms of Linux operating systems, there's really three that you usually see. There's the really old-fashioned ones that we used to get on older consoles, which look pretty dated now. There's the MIUI type of operating system, or the Xiaomi type of operating system. But TrimUI have brought something completely new to the table, and I find it really user-friendly and game-focused. It looks really nice with really nice backdrops, and everything is laid out really easily. But one of my favorite things was how it had a best section, a section of curated curated video games. A list that focused purely on arcade vertical shooters, a curated list of all the arcade vertical shooters on the console, a list of the Famicom multi-cart options, and also a dedicated section and list of Pokemon games. I found this really nice, really cool, and really added to the user interface and experience and made it genuinely feel like a gaming handheld. I would have liked to have seen more of these, especially considering the Pokemon is really cool. It literally has all the Pokemon games on this console all in one area, so you don't have to go searching around different consoles and looking through lists or searching for the names. They are all focused in this one area. You can go to the specific consoles and find the games if you want, but it was nice to have these focus sections on the user interface. Furthermore, when you look into the emulators on the device, there is quite a significant list, including arcade, Atari 2600, Atari 7800, CPS1, CPS2, Neo Geo, Famicom, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, MAME, Mega Drive, Master System, N64, Nintendo DS, Neo Geo Pocket, PGM, PlayStation, Super Nintendo, WonderSwan, PSP, N64 and Dreamcast. Now, emulation for the N64, PSP, Dreamcast and Nintendo DS is not perfect, which is a shame because it feels like it's so close. Dreamcast emulation definitely has been improved since this was first released, and it definitely runs a lot better than it did, which can be said for some of the other emulators as well. But there were still games I would notice that would have slowdown and didn't run at full speed. One of the most noticeable issues for me was when trying to play Mario Kart on the Nintendo DS. For some reason, Mario just wouldn't go. It seemed like everything else was working, but it just wouldn't drive. And furthermore, the thing that frustrates me the most is that the PlayStation Portable emulation is not perfect. Because with this thing looking like a PS Vita and having a perfect screen for the PSP, this could be an absolute PSP beast. But there's an absolute bucket load of potential here, and a custom OS could fix all of these problems and turn this into the PSP beast that it needs to be. And for the cost of the TrimUI Smart Pro and the build quality that you get, it is an absolutely superb console. Now, I might be a sucker because I love the PS Vita so much, and it instantly reminded me of that, and then playing the PSP games on there as well, it just really made me feel like I was playing some alternate version of a modern PlayStation console. If you want to get your hands on one, links will be in the description below, but if you want to check out the RG505, which is a slightly more powerful PSP friendly emulator, then check out this episode right here.